Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Anime Watch Club, a bi-weekly group discussion and review where the host of the What You Say Anime podcast nominate and vote on shows either we haven't seen or shows that hopefully to a great discussion. In today's episode, though, we would have answered the question, do you want to play a game with a hard pass response? We will be reviewing the 2026 anime SHIBOYUGI, playing death games to put food on the table. Let's meet today's Tier 3 Death Game Twitch subs. First up, making his triumphant return, we have Haz. Haz, do you remember the last time you joined us?
Okay, I was thinking about it actually. I think the last time I joined y'all, it was was it a ridiculous show? I think it was a ridiculous show.
It was ridiculous, but good.
If for flag race?
You're on the right track.
No.
Well, what he nominated, you're on the right track.
Oh man. Oh wow, this is a lot harder than I thought. I don't even remember. What was it?
I will tell you, the last time you joined us was December 29th, 2023, when we reviewed Cautious Hero, in which you nominated the show Invaders of Rokujima, a show in which we scored a 4.25 out of 10, and a show you didn't show up for. So, this is just me saying, if you nominate some bullshit and it wins, I'm forcing you to join or I'm docking your pay.
Did Haz not show up for Haz Week?
Nope.
That's
Which, in Haz's defense, is on brand.
Yes.
I didn't show up for it. I'm so sorry.
It's all good. Well, we're happy to have you. Maybe show up every now and then instead of every 2.5 years.
We're back on the anime. We're back on it.
We're back, baby. All right, next up, he is here to moderate and to say things like, I don't know, to my takes. We have Miles. Miles, how's it going?
One sec. I apologize. What's happening? Okay. What's up, buddy?
I don't know.
Can we just leave
Okay.
it?
Okay, wait, is mom stuffy?
Kind of cute.
Okay, well, see you later, buddy.
Tried by fatherhood.
Anyways, those are my takes.
We'll leave it in. That was fun. That was Miles' son.
Okay.
All right. And Pat.
Yeah, that was really good, Miles. I think Haz said drive-by fathering. I love it. That's pretty good. Drive-by dadding maybe is a better way to put it. That's impressive. Yes. But alrighty, yeah, we're talking about SHIBOYUGI, playing death games to put food on the table. It is a winter 2026 season, also very recent, done by Studio Dean, sourced from a light novel with genres of action, suspense, high stakes game. I would say death game, even though it's not in the list of genres on Mal, and R plus or R17 plus. I can speak and read English. Yes, here we go. It is time to discuss our first impressions and whether we recommend this show or not. Pete, you're at the top left of my screen, so you get to start us this time because you're ahead of Cape Cod for some reason. I don't understand that, but you know what? Why don't you start us off, Pete? Let's see if that changes the vibes here. Let's hear it.
Just change the vibes. Yes, that's a little behind the scenes baseball, having to change my name in Discord so cropping can work in formatting correctly. The best thing and maybe the worst thing about SHIBOYUGI is its first episode, because I think it does peak from here. Like, I think episode 1 is just a fantastic introduction to the series. It sets the tone, I think, right away. It also sets the tone in terms of direction, I feel like, with how it's stylized. It's very artsy. It's a little bit different than what I expected coming into it, just because Yuki's like character design is, I would say, very pretty and outgoing. But kind of, is like the contrast to what we get throughout the rest of the show. So, first impressions, I was hooked immediately. I really like that they made this like an extended first episode. I think that went a long way. And yeah, it was just, I mean, we'll talk about later where maybe we have other issues with the other games going forward, but I just thought this was like a great introduction to this style of game, like style of show that we're getting into, especially a genre that I'm not super fascinated with. Like, I don't really like death games. I don't go out of my way to watch death games or play death games, like Danganronpa or something on Steam. Not really like my jam. So having a show like this like hook me immediately is a huge plus. I would recommend this. I do you think, and this is coming from somebody who is a very novice death game player, watcher, enjoyer, I think it's more suitable for somebody like me. I think people who are more fascinated with the genres will find things that they don't like, but I just think overall this was a very well directed show, and watch the first episode and you'll know right away if it's for you or not. So yeah, I would recommend it.
All right, there you go. Miles, what do you think?
First episode is good. Unfortunately, show bad. And I thought about this a lot because if someone just sort of like looked at the show, they would go, "Oh, that's a Miles show," and that's fair. It looks like a Miles show, right? But like this show, if you were to crack open the Miles show aspect of this, you would see nothing inside. A completely hollow experience, devoid of anything. An unnecessary avant-garde coat of paint on garbage. That was a little harsh for what I'm going to end up scoring the show.
A little bit.
Probably.
But I'm not going to recommend this, and I almost always recommend stuff. I think this show isn't good. I don't think it's good. I don't think it does anything good. I think you can watch the first episode, and if that's intriguing to you, pick up the books. That's what I think from my understanding, so that's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to say no.
Wow, a rare Miles no. That is interesting. That'll make this a good discussion, I think. Haz, what do you think? It sounds like you were very interested in this show.
Yeah, nah. I'll be honest. When I clicked on this show, it was a conflict of the soul. I think a lot of the front-facing aspects of it scream I should run. Mainly Yuki's character design screams run the fuck away, especially in the first episode where she has a maid outfit and shit. I was like, oh man, run. But
This
you know,
has character growth. I just need to say. We had 2 years of off-screen character development.
Well, I say that more as like she seems so boringly designed to me because I think they try to make her too cool. I think she does look pretty and cool, but like in a way that's like a Genshin character does, and that doesn't appeal to me. But you know, the first episode being an extended cut, I think was super necessary. I think I will say though, sort of to Miles and Pete's point, the first episode is I think it's really good. But I will say I think it's a little misleading in terms of the rest of the show and what the show decides to focus on, because the first episode I think is the most the show leans into, or the most the show emphasizes the death game aspect. And like as the show goes on, it's more and more about the characters and stuff, and you see more of those interactions being important per se. So if you like the first episode, you might like the rest of the show. I wouldn't, it's not a guarantee. I think you know, but I think if you're rocking with the intrigue of the show, like, yeah, you should definitely watch this. I'm going to give this a recommendation because I really enjoyed it. And by the end of it, I was super happy I watched it.
Fair enough. All right. And I'm going to do the usual cop-out answer here. Watch the first episode. If you like what you see, recommend. I do recommend you watch it. And if you don't, then you're probably not going to like any more of the show. I find myself somewhere in the middle where I really enjoyed a lot of the aspects of the show. The suspense is there. The stylization of the show, even if I didn't love all of the aspects of it, I think it's very cool. With both in the animation, costume design, and set design, I guess, even though it's an animated show, but you get what I'm saying here. I think that stuff is very interesting. I think the show is extremely surface level and super confusing and frustrating while you're watching it. And I didn't feel particularly rewarded by finishing it. And I guess minor spoiler that isn't the end of the content that is there of the show. You know, there's more to come in theory.
It's not
but
even in theory.
well, yeah, true. The movie is confirmed, right? But I guess my point being like, yeah, the anime doesn't end the story, and I also and you know that's fine in theory, but it didn't really answer a lot of the questions I had, or even any of them really. Thank you, Miles. Yeah, I was gonna say like I was trying. Miles and I talked about this a little before the show. It's like what we felt, or like how many questions did we get answered in the majority of the show that we had built up in those first several episodes, and it didn't really feel like many of them had been, and we'll talk about that later. But so that's where I ended very frustrated. I thought the final episode was very fun too, but I do agree that the show very much peaks in the first episode. So I would not recommend it to the majority of people, but if it's your genre, you're going to enjoy it. If you like the first episode, you should at least enjoy it a little bit, or find things to enjoy about it. So there's our cop-out answer. And yeah, it's time. It's time to get into spoilers. And this is probably pretty spoiler heavy, I would say. Decently so. So be warned before proceeding. And yeah, Miles, do you want to do a quick synopsis and then get right into our first talking point?
Yeah, so the synopsis of the anime on Mal is actually just the synopsis of the first episode. They knew what was up. Yuki wakes up to find herself in an unfamiliar manner, wearing a uniform and lying on a luxurious bed. Soon she discovers 5 more girls, all dressed the same as her. This is the ghost house, and the only way they can survive is to make it through the traps that lie in wait. Deadly games full of blowguns, traps. It's a hopeless, terrifying situation for everyone there. Well, everyone except for Yuki. After all, this is her career at 17. Do you think that's odd? She would agree. But that's how some people are. They earn their living playing death games. And that is where we are. That is our synopsis.
Beautiful. Death games. Yeah. Do we want to start there talking about death games, or maybe our experiences with it, just to give people like a 2-sentence, like, do we like them and how many have we consumed? Because I guess I can start there. I enjoyed reading like Hunger Games as a kid, and I'm familiar with the genre. Battle Royale is a very cool movie. Fortnite, who doesn't love some Fortnite? Am I right, guys? But I can't say I've watched a ton of anime that revolve around death games. I'm trying to think of them even as we stand here. My brain is probably farting on a very obvious one.
Fate?
You've watched Danganronpa.
Okay, yeah, duh. That's a good one. I guess Fate is too. That's an extended.
Yeah, Fate.
Oh wait, what's the Death Parade too? I guess right is sort of so. I mean, not really.
Technically, yes, it's a death game.
Right? Like technically, it is
A game with death. Did you watch like Mirai Nikki in your younger days?
Yes, I did. You're right.
Okay.
You're right. Mirai Nikki too. Wow. Okay, so yeah, I guess I am a fan of the genre. What about you guys?
Sword Art Online, dude.
Okay, yeah. It's weird though. Like that one's like, and I guess. Well, does this one do it very differently from any of the other ones? Because Fate, they choose to be involved. I think, correct? Yeah, they do.
Depends on the person, but yes.
I guess. Yeah, that's fair.
Most of the time.
Most of the
These
games.
people also all choose to be involved.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm
Yeah.
saying like it might be different than like a Death Parade again. Not fair. Sword Art Online. None of them necessarily chose to be in that.
Yeah, SAO is they didn't. I think it sort of depends on the show. I think it's probably split towards not wanting to participate. But sometimes you get the people who are like, one last big heist before I retire. You know. So
what impression was that? Out of curiosity.
someone from a heist movie.
Gerard Butler in Dead of Thieves 2.
Okay,
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
I definitely did the voice like I was an old cop about to retire, but usually the cops aren't doing the heist. So, I mean, I messed up, but that's okay.
My favorite star of Greenland 2, the Search for Greenland, or whatever that movie was. All right, P, what about you? Would you say you're a fan of the genre? Or?
Nah, I'll be honest with
Nah,
not
okay.
really. Nah, it's usually the exact opposite. I usually go for the cute, fluffy shit, not the
Life games.
It's not that I don't like them. It's just that I don't have like the urge to watch or play them. essentially.
There was a lot of fluff in here, Pete.
Yeah,
in
but
this
it's like
anime.
in a different sense.
Okay, I was saying like a lot of cute characters
Lots
and
of cute characters.
fluffy,
Cute
Very-
girls,
very-
even.
You know what? Maybe if I
doing cute things.
if I muted
Very
the
cute
show,
things.
if I muted the show, it might have been a lot more fluffy. But unfortunately,
lot-
I have ears and I heard a lot of shit. What about you?
A lot of
guys?
cotton in the show
A
too.
little bit.
So
As what
Oh,
about
it's
you?
my turn. Yeah. No, I don't like death games like that. I'll be real. I think most of them, I think the problem with death games is they generally split into two types of death games. One is, or not types of death games, but they generally come along with two genres, either survival or mystery. I find that survival usually just ends up not really capitalizing on the thrill of it being a death game. It ends up being things like, I'm trying to remember the one from a few years ago when I was actually watching anime, Darwin's Game.
I was gonna say like
where they're on
Darwin's
the-
Game
with
or
the phone.
something.
Yeah. Where it's just like it's just a battle anime really in a city. You know, there's nothing outside of the fact that they die. And then with mystery, I'm not gonna lie, they usually try to hide behind just horror to hide a bad mystery. This one, I think, kind of leans more towards the mystery, at least in presentation. So I wasn't like, I didn't think I would enjoy it as much as I did because I thought the mystery would be pretty shit. But yeah, so that's how I feel about survival games.
So,
Yeah.
just quick question for you. What if we had a
Mm.
survival game, right? And we were on an island, and there was a
Aight.
storm happening on the island,
Okay.
and then we had different renditions of a game where one character's goal was to kill all the other characters, and the other character's goal was to catch them and figure out how they did that. Would you consider that a death game? And would you say you would like that sort of thing?
Are we really? Is this the line of logic that we're?
I'm sorry. I just want to have
Do
fun
you
with you.
do you want to put Human Echo like next to Darwin's Game? Is that what you want to do for real? Like, do you feel like that's appropriate?
I do.
I think that when you're distilling something down to its pure genre, because does
Right.
Human Echo eventually boil down to a large battle in a city of books? Yes, it does. And anyways, no, that's good. I like teasing you. You're not here ever anymore. So I
I'm
gotta
sorry.
get him in. Oh goodness. Okay.
We kind of hinted at it too in all of our previews, right? That first episode. What did we like the most individually about that first episode? What really made it pop to each of you guys? It would be probably a good starting question.
I think one, it does a pretty good job of like explaining what's happening like in medias res, but like without sort of just telling you what's happening. Like you can tell from the interactions of the characters, like Yuki seems more experienced than them. I think it does a good job of establishing, I guess, what I thought Yuki's character was going to be in the series. We then go back in time for the majority of the series, so we see a completely different character. But we at least know where she sort of has ended up. And, it does a good job of doing that. I think it does a good job of showing the stakes and sort of showing what I guess I thought was going to lead into the general sadism of the people who are, putting this on, where, the girls are able to be like maimed and everything with what's it called? The thing that turns their blood to fluff. It's like I forget the name of the plot device.
That's sort of pee or some
The
shit.
plot of
Yeah, I mean, whatever, the suspend your reality. The thing they do to make it so that, the girls don't die when their arms are severed or whatever.
Unless they
Which
were
is-
supposed to die, right? Isn't that the idea that like
No, you can kill them by, like, if you get stabbed in the fucking heart or your head comes off or whatever, like, there's no stopping that. And if you think about it too hard, it doesn't really make sense. So you just have to, like, this is the conceit of it, right? Like they do this somehow, and it's just you go, okay, like that's how it works, which I think is fine. But so I think it does a good job of showing that and like showing how varied a game can be within itself, like as like a series of different escape rooms and stuff. I also liked the first time this happened at the end when they forced someone to die when it was required, because I thought that showed that this at the end of the day is not like a pure skill expression, right? Even if everyone had just gotten there, the people watching this want to see people die. It's sort of like the opposite of the end of the Hunger Games, where like they needed a winner and so they let two people live. This is like, well, they need a loser in this. Like everyone cannot win. And so as we saw in several games, and in fact, almost every game, deaths are required one way or the other, So I thought that was interesting. And I think that, was something that I would like to have seen, I guess, like explored more from like a game creation standpoint. When you're putting these choke points in, is it always at the end, or do you want to have to whittle someone down before a different trial? So you need to like discuss who would be best at like doing the thing upcoming. And if like you're the worst, maybe everyone turns on you. There's a lot of interesting psychological stuff they could do with the general setup of game one that I thought was interesting. So, I mean, that, and, as Pete had mentioned earlier, it sets the style tone, right? You have like, fucking like Monet inspired art.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there's like, a bunch of inspiration from like a lot of French sources, like new wave cinematography or what's it called? The art house or whatever. I don't know, something. I'm not artsy, but, impressionism and all that stuff. So I don't know. I thought it was cool. I liked it. Really good episode.
I think it's in terms of like setting the tone for what the show was going to be. I thought it was more of like I thought it set the tone in terms of like they're going to tell us that this is a show don't tell type of story. That the fact that we're getting dropped into the 28th game on the first episode was pretty clear to that. So I like that they were sort of letting us know exactly how this style of show is going to go. Like they're going to be telling the narrative through the games themselves. So I thought they did that, and then I guess more of like the stylization with, especially like it was a little bit outside of the first episode, but more of it was a little bit in the first episode, but more of just like the aesthetic and how they were approaching it. I think a lot of times when shows use a color palette, when it's like white and blacks, grays are normally the like secondary color. And I just really like that gray was like the prominent color of this color palette of the entire show. So really cool, like art design and art direction from the get-go.
Yeah, episode one, really enjoyed it, and I thought the ending specifically just kind of stood out. Like Miles said, I thought that was the fact that someone had to die was great. I will say, and not obviously this is about later in the show, so it's not just an opinion, nothing detailed. But what I liked about episode one, I don't think is why I like the rest of the show though. Like I kind of mentioned that in the beginning where and to like Miles and I think Pete mentioned earlier, but like a lot of the show is flashbacks. And so the character you get at that point, you're finding answers for. I think the progression of this is kind of like you get something that kind of half makes sense with what you know. And then the next arc, you go back in time to get the context, and then there's like a half thing, and it goes like that. But it's the only thing about the first arc, I think, is like I enjoy Yuki's character as like the girl who gets it. It's just she's not that all the time, but it's good. It's like what they do with her is good. It's really weird looking back at the episode one now with how I enjoyed this show, because I enjoy it for completely different reasons. It's very much more a death game mystery type focus, especially because the characters in it are the least relevant in the story. So, yeah.
There you go. I agree with what most people have said about episode one so far. I guess my personal flair of why I enjoyed it was the impact of the stylization of the art is shown right away with conversations that are happening and how they transition from, like what Miles said earlier, the new age art to the traditional anime art. I think that that's really well done. When the first death happens, it's done in a very stylized and I thought very cool way. Everything that happens in that episode are somewhat foreshadowed or at least like hinted at throughout that episode as well, of her picking up the leftover, I don't know, spear or needle that went through the other girl. The way that things are set up, it all builds towards that final culminating moment. So I really liked that. Not to mention just the shock value at the end. I thought it was it helps establish Yuki's character extremely quickly, that she is empathetic to some level, but then also at a moment's notice, the second she figured out that what they had to do at the end, she made that choice instantly. She didn't think twice about it, you know? So I thought that was pretty well done, and it helps establish how seasoned of a person she is in this environment, and also the ruthlessness of the games that they're playing. This isn't, you know, everyone can survive if we just band together. It's not. I mean, I guess Squid Game is another example of like a death game, right? Where they're like, you sit there and like, oh, well, if everyone just worked together in Squid Game, everyone could get out or whatever. That's not the case with this. It's just not. And they establish that very, very quickly, I think. So it's pretty cool. Who else has a talking point?
We have a lot this episode. So, you know, I think that, oh God, it's sort of tough to do. I don't know. Because I don't want to like poison the well, right? Like,
You
as
should
the
poison the well.
That's how you win the
Okay.
death game, by poisoning the well.
Okay, yeah. If you
I forgot to tell you guys, but one of us is not making it this through the entire podcast episode.
Holy shit,
Has just
Has,
took a
it's-
rip, and I poisoned his
Yeah.
weed.
Oh, shit, it's a lace.
It's
Oh my God.
lace.
that's crazy.
But not with what you
Um,
think.
Tell me before I die.
Also, it was the preservation technique. That's what it's called. Glad we got there. Okay, I guess I want to talk about the general structure of the games, because this is something that I had like a pretty big issue with as this anime went on. Like, I thought the best game was the first one, Ghost House. And then I thought every game from there just kind of got worse, to the point where I found the last game mostly incomprehensible as far as like what you should do as a player. Now, I understand that someone went a little crazy during that game, and I have a take on that too.
I mean, if I
but
was the Terminator, I
I
would
guess-
also do that.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I guess I'll just get it out there right now. My thought is, like, how dare you fuckers be offended that she's doing that? You all came here to kill each other. Oh no, she's doing too good. Oh no, she's killing everyone too much. Oh no,
But she's a
she killed
robot.
more than the five people we were supposed to kill. Oh no.
I think I'd be more
Um,
pissed that she's a robot.
Yeah, you can just do that apparently.
Apparently,
um,
yes. I have.
Steroids are legal in this death game,
was-
apparently.
It was friendly fire, to be fair, and it was illegal.
It-
But I mean,
It wasn't
so
illegal,
are
or they would have
super-
done something about it in the game. It's perfectly legal. Because, like, she killed a stump as a bunny, took the stump's place, and then just started killing people. Like, also, this also begs the question, every stump who killed 5 people instead of just killing one bunny and then switching places is a fucking psychopath too. But that's
They're
it's
all
neither here
playing
nor there.
death games for money. They're all psychopaths.
I could forgive people for like their first one, right? It's like, oh, come play this game. It's probably a little vague, right? You get brought in
That's fair.
and you're like, holy shit. Like, that one girl was like, holy fuck, I'm never doing this again, right? Like, she's,
The dead.
that's what a normal human is like after you murder 5 people, because you're forced to by some crazy person, I guess, or someone somewhere. We have no idea. We have no clue who's doing this. But I do want to get back to the design of the games, because the second game was similar to the first, but instead of like puzzles, there were just sort of mines places for some reason. And I didn't find that very compelling as a viewer, because it's just like you'll either step somewhere or you won't. And in fact, they had multiple characters make the same mistakes during it, which I guess was supposed to be like a character moment or whatever, but I don't know. It's just like to have other things happen. And then I'm gonna be honest, I don't know how the spa game worked. I don't know how it worked. They were like teams, and it was like a battle royale with teams. They were just fighting each other for some reason. I don't know if there were rules. I don't know what was supposed to happen. Why were they in a spa? You know, I know they're always sort of scantily clad because people are like watching this to get their little kicks, but like, why? What was that? I don't understand that game.
Why was there a wall? Why was there a wall too in the middle? Like, that's what I got most confused by in that game. Like, she's like, oh, how did I not see this coming? Or how could I make this error with my teammates or whatever? And it's like, what error did you make? It wasn't ever actually shown what happened. Like, did they build a wall between the two teams?
No, she just forgot the layout or something. Like,
can't blame her. It was very confusing.
Yeah, I was confused. But I guess like my question for you guys, you know, people who like this, people who didn't like this, like, what did you think about the structure of the games? This is a problem I have with No Game, No Life too, or almost any anime that revolves around games. Is that like I want these writers or these people who are adapting it or whatever, because from my understanding, the games are explained a lot more in the light novels, probably because they have time to do it. You know, just multiple pages described the rules or whatever. But like, I really care about how the games are made and if they make sense and if they're good from like a game theory standpoint. It very much matters to me. And this just never really scratched that itch for me. But, you know, I'm curious what everyone else thinks.
I feel like it's like Saw, where you say if you watch all 10 Saw movies, like there's probably like 3 of them, like 3 of the deaths that like are so much better than all the other ones, and like those are the ones that stand out. And like writing, I mean, in the context of the show, 100 death games or 99 death games or something like that would be like really hard to do. So I do agree that sort of the game structure wasn't as polished as I thought it was going to be. But my biggest like takeaway from like the games themselves was sort of how it was laid out in terms of episode structure, where I felt like some of the, like what those episodes mean should have been rearranged. So just for reference, the first episode, the first game is the 28th game she plays, then goes into the 10th game she plays, then goes into the 30th game she plays, and then the last episode is the 9th game. So to me, it's more that like the structure of like the weight of these games felt really off, because to me it feels like it should be like a laddering system where like the 9th game felt like it was endgame. Like more than any other game, more people were dying in this game, and it felt odd that that was the 9th game. And I know it's maybe structured a little bit differently in terms of everybody else, but I guess my bigger concern was how the games were structured in terms of the episode than the actual games themselves.
So the adaptation changed this, Pete. So originally, like in the light novel, right? First one is Ghost House. I think we all agreed that's a general good introduction to what we're doing here,
Yes.
right? The next one they do, and it's because of what happens in it and how it affects Yuki, is the 9th game. That's the next one we see. Like, that's the first full game, non-intro that we see in the light novels.
Is it the second game, the 10th game? Because it's the 9th game in the light novel, but I think it's the 10th game in the anime.
Yeah. So the 9th game, this is what I'm saying. In the light novels, the 9th game is the first game we see that isn't Ghost House.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. So
Right?
The last arc of the anime is the second arc of the light novel.
Yes,
Yeah.
because, you know, that will explain why she took a break going into the Scrap City arc.
Correct.
And then, like, Mishuru comes in. And so, like, you know, so because the way that they structure it now, you're sort of like, okay, like, she took a break for a while. The way did anyone else think that she was lying at the
Yes,
beginning of the second game?
100%. which I thought was
Okay.
cool at the time.
Yeah, I thought that was. But then
If it actually
she did it.
followed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's okay. Not to keep going, but there's like not a lot of social. I feel like these games would be filled with like social manipulation and like social deduction, and we kind of see that in the second game. We watch game 10 with like those two characters that are like, "I won't vote for you if you don't vote for me," and then like one of them votes for the other one anyway, and or whatever. But like, it yeah, I don't know. I thought she was lying because there's a reason. Like, if you're a veteran player and it comes down to one of these PvP scenarios, maybe everyone's going to gang up on you because they're afraid of you or something, you know? So there's like reason to lie about how many games you've done. And, you know, you want to seem experienced so people want to keep you around, but not too experienced that they view you as like a threat if it comes down to you or them. And we just never saw that. And that left me a bit disappointed. I don't know. What did you think about the game structure?
Yeah, I just want y'all to know, my brain just got fried, like trying to follow the structuring that as y'all explained.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's that laced weed I hit you with.
Yeah.
It's not your fault.
Yeah, it's
It's
already
also that
working.
the order that the show puts these things in is asinine.
It's very
I agree. I was
Yeah.
gonna say I was confused. I had to ask Miles multiple times, like at the end, like, did I watch this correctly, or did I understand what the order of the games was correctly? Like I finished it and I didn't feel very confident. So with laced weed is going to be even worse. I could feel you there.
I thought the games were structured based on the messaging question mark. I don't know if that's the right word that I'm looking for, the motif, because I feel like the progression of the games, not in terms of time, but in terms of like the actual how you're watching it, like I think they want to show you the range of games, because I agree that the first game is, like, in terms of actual game, probably the best one and most like structured, and like there's the most pay. And that's why I kind of say after episode 1, I don't feel like that's why I watched it, because it didn't, that wasn't the appeal to me anymore. It was more of the side characters that, you know, come around in those relations, and the way they interact as well with the games and whatever in their stories. But the games go from very structured, I think, right, with like the first one, where it's a pretty clean cut game, like it's just a game, you know, and someone loses at the end because that's how it was designed. The second one, you know, has like it's slightly more human. They begin to account for, I think something I picked up was like they begin to account for like the audience entertainment value when she starts thinking about how the floor would be planned out, for example, right? Instead of just the mechanics of the game, and like some sort of like puzzle or something to look for. And then like you said, I think like 3 is pretty vague. I assumed from the details we got that 3 was just there's a certain amount of keys, but not that many people are leaving situation. Fight for the keys to get out.
Yeah, you had to like fight for keys to
Yeah.
get out or something.
So, and then like the last one is like just off the rails, in terms of like any structure, rules, and everything. I think it just kind of went like that, or at least that's how I viewed it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but okay, but like from a viewer perspective, okay, this is so ticky tacky, but like game 3, right? Like Yuki's even talking about how there's incentive for them to stop fighting after stuff has happened, because enough people will have died that there's no reason to fight for the resources anymore, because like the population has declined to the level where like whatever, though I guess we see that not happen, right? Because they massacre her entire side and then she goes and like tries to get revenge and then doesn't and then does. So, you know, I don't know.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead, Has. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, like, I think like it goes also to what you said too, and sort of in line with the show showing less and less like the structured, like sort of really focusing on the games. I think also the show gets crazier in terms of just the people in it and their reactions. Like I think a lot of the the this the psychological breaks we saw in like 4 or whatever were like the furthest from like the other 3 games, like in the last game, you know what I mean? And I think in terms of that, like in the 3rd game, I can imagine a lot of them look really scared, you know what I mean? I can imagine when you're in that situation. Obviously, this is all just they would feel this way, XYZ thing, but like based on the fact that the show acknowledges that people like aren't willing to kill or like but can still be pushed at a certain point, stuff like that, I think it's something that's safe to assume just like they'll keep killing. Not everyone thinks like Yuki, you know? So
and I gotta say, I conceptually like the idea of something like the 4th game where it goes off the rails and like you're used to this like highly ordered, rule-abiding, though savage and like merciless situation, and then all of a sudden that is out the door, and it's like it takes the survival up a notch because you're like struggling to survive on top of struggling to survive, right? It's like double struggling to survive. I just didn't think the other games were good enough to like earn that, I guess. You know what I mean? It's just like
that's fair. That's fair.
The second game is literally just them walking in a like back and forth, like, and then doing a vote at the end. Which again, there's strategy to it, and like they highlight some of the stuff that happens in it, or the ways that things could go wrong in it. But it's like that was frustrating me. Even the first game that we've been praising, by the way, like a lot, and I think it is objectively out of the 4 games the best game. Even that game requires half of them to die by the end of it, right? With the only 3 can get through the door or whatever. So even if they all worked together and did everything correctly, because up until that final task, every single person could have survived that game. You know, like they would have had to cut off a lot of limbs, and they would have had to cut off, you know, like pass the keys really quickly and think about that stuff quickly. But they all could have survived, and then getting slapped in the face at the end with, oh, only 3 you get to live, which again could be the purpose of the whole thing, and being like life ain't fair, or that, as you mentioned earlier, like the message of the show or the motif of the show is that, but it doesn't feel that it keeps that motif going through the next 3 games as well, where there's only a little bit of like life's a bitch, move on. The 3rd and 4th games, like you said, Miles, they could be systematically solved to where not almost everyone involved dies, like what ends up happening in those games, right? So that's where I got frustrated with the show and the game design.
I think if Beast Games has taught us anything, it's that if you don't design your games very well, people won't fuck each other over. They'll share and be nice, right? You need to design your game to incentivize hurting people. Like, people just won't do that. Like, I know that sounded like a joke. This is a real issue with that show. Both seasons they haven't figured it out, that unless you give someone an incentive to do something, they're not going to do it. They'll just, like, oh, $500K for both of us. Okay, that's fine. I'm not going to take that for me. Like, why would I do that? And, people don't do that sort of thing. But part of the issue I have about this show, frankly, is that, like, I don't think it really talks a lot about, I want to know why these people are doing it. I want to, like, we learn Yuki is doing it for the love of the game, and that's cool. That's a cool concept, right? But like, she started doing this for some other reason, and like, she talks about it, and she's like, well, I can get more money than I could getting a job. And it's like, yeah, I mean, I could go work for Lockheed Martin, you know what I mean? And like, make more money or whatever. But like, I want to know what the outside world is like more. That, one, this is just a thing people are watching. Like, how many people are watching this? Are they, because I always viewed it as like a private sort of like ring of,
that's what I thought initially too, and everyone's like, "No, it's like Twitch." I'm like, "Interesting." I wish they expanded.
I think it's like, yeah, and so like, yeah, like I want to know what the fucking world is like if this is like Twitch.
Hold on.
Hold on. I think, pause. There's no way that's how this is set up in the light
novel.
Okay,
It's a theme.
I'll say this.
It's a theme of the story.
I'll say this. This is very like, because I agree with this, but I always thought, and this could just be from other media. This is definitely from other media. I've always thought that a lot of the background scenes outside of the games pretty much confirmed that it was like Twitch, because it felt very, what's the brutalist architecture, like everything is these like, I don't know if you ever like played any of those old games set in like dystopian Russia, right? Like they
Yeah.
look like that.
Real
Like
life
they have a,
Russia.
yeah, they have a, well, you know,
Well, there's a lot of brutalism.
yeah, yeah, a lot of
Brutalism is the
brutalism.
right word. Yeah.
Like even when they're training in like, I made a joke about it earlier, but like they made it not in the here, but in a call. It's like it looked like like a submarine, like where they would build submarines, you know, or like an empty airport hangar or something, and they were on like this the walkway up and stuff, and I was like, you know, but
Looks like
I
New
always,
London,
Yeah.
Connecticut.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it,
And they
it
have
seems
like
pretty
agents and
bad.
stuff, which is
Mhm.
something like, and like an agent per a girl. It's not like someone who goes and gets someone for a game. Like if you're like a career person, you have your agent who like cares about you and wants to help you. Like we saw that agent of that rando who got voted out at the end be like absolutely devastated that her girl died.
Yeah, they try to like save him sometime.
Yeah, like I wonder if they used to be like former players or what their deal is, right?
I think it's confirmed that Yuki's handler is a former player.
She's missing an eye, right? So that would potentially make sense.
Yeah.
Mm.
I saw a theory that they're like all family members of some sort, because I think somebody mentioned that like a lot of the handlers resemble the player.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be interesting. But like I guess I just wish knew like because they have like dozens and dozens and dozens of people, and I wish I knew a scale of the prize. You know what I mean? It's just an arbitrarily large amount of money.
So I can like kind of answer that, because I think it's like, I think Yuki ends up, she mentioned something like in passing that like she said
But she doesn't need to do this.
she doesn't
anymore.
need to do this anymore. So it's like at that point you can kind of put together that like she has enough money to retire. So like you make good money playing these.
Yeah, 100%. And like I know that, but I wish there was a number. You know what I mean? Because like,
Yes.
is it something where one and done and you're good, or is it something where like if you get like a 5-win streak, you're set, and then you can, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's like
I saw in my subtitles, at least of the subbing that I watched, they mentioned the number 1,000,000 when talking about like, oh, like I won 1,000,000 or something along those lines, and who knows if that's
Mhm.
it's $1 million US dollars,
That's yen,
US big
probably.
bucks. But it's probably yen, which is what 10 grand or so.
yeah.
be a hundred-
I
like
mean, the
100
less
grand.
no, it's like it's 1,000,000 yen is
It'd be like
currently
140 grand or something like that. Right?
my calculator is telling me right now that it is equal to $7,000.
Oh, shit,
actually
never
less.
mind.
6.3.
I think it's 10 grand. It'd be or like
It would be
is
equivalent to 10 grand, but that ratio it's closer to half a like cent now. Like it's
really.
The yen's
Wow.
yeah, it's
depreciated.
$6.3,000.
Go to Japan now if you can.
I think
Good to
also
know.
I
Because
saw
like
some,
okay, like frankly, I'm not I don't know. I'm not playing a death game for 4 paychecks. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
Like,
saw in the subtitles, one of the girls mentioned that like I think it's not a one and done. Like in the show, they mentioned that like they were like, in a few games I'll have enough to stop,
Yeah.
forever. So it's like you have to play probably like a 5 or 3 or something like that. I don't know, but so that. Yeah, I do wish there was an amount though. It would add a lot of context to things.
And,
But
yeah, and I wish Yuki, like, I wish the world was explored more because, like, she's like, I don't know, I've had a hard time getting a job and I don't have any skills, but, like, that's like anyone who's 17. It's like every 17-year-old.
Yeah.
So, like, I guess I just wish there was, like, some more explanation of the outside world, I guess, But yeah, I think we all sort of agree with that. So it's a good time to move on. Haz, I want to ask you something specifically, and we can all chime in on it, but I want you to answer first. Because you had said you really liked the way this did like character exploration and like stuff like that. So can you tell me what about this like vibed with you on that? And then we can all talk about our opinion on the general concept, I guess.
Yeah, I really like shows that or just media in general. I think that sort of seemingly doesn't have necessarily interconnecting stories, but just kind of puts things in parallel next to each other and lets you observe them. I think this show does that a lot with essentially most of the characters. And I really enjoyed I said this earlier too. This show very much felt like an exploration of like what it really means to be a demon. like on some JoJo's, like in JoJo's everyone is like, I have one more trick. Here they're like, actually, like you thought you was dumb, but then you met me, you know. and they do that really well. And I think even the last, like the ending, I think is like the perfect, like, damn, you really thought you was the demon, but you're not the demon. So that's what I enjoyed. I think all the individual stories were they were past. I wouldn't say like they on their own are like super in depth and intriguing considering how fast we get them, you know. But they do what they're supposed to do in terms of playing off of Yuki and her journey and everything, you know. So
no, I think that's good. Another thing that I thought was interesting now that you mentioned this was how well they do Yuki's characterization as a ghost and how other players find that to be horrifying and she finds it to be a detriment. She doesn't have a purpose, right? She's just sort of this ephemeral figure, but other players, view her like she's fucking John Wick. So a good shout there. I think that putting all these characters in the situation and seeing how they manage, you see who people really are in a situation like this. Pete, what are your thoughts on how they did the characters and everything?
I think it was fine. I think that, for the most part, we're really only supposed to be attached to Yuki, and so that kind of makes sense. I think towards the end, maybe you can latch on to Haku's character, knowing that she's Jigsaw, essentially, but like, I think it's done well on purpose, where we're supposed to get a little bit of like story of like some of these ancillary characters that are in the games, but the focus is on Yuki, and I think that they did a good job at showcasing Yuki throughout games 9 through 30.
Pat? I'm good. I'd rather talk about other questions because I have hot takes on those personally. So let's keep the questions rolling.
Yeah. Just really quick, I really like Mishura's character. If they made her not expecting me to grow attached to her, they fucked up. And I was really excited when she got to live, and I was like, "Wow, they're gonna make her important," and I was wrong. They just killed her 10 minutes of airtime later.
She was important for Yuki's development.
For Yuki. Yeah. But they could have killed her for Yuki's development in the same game. You know what I mean? Like, I guess they had to have her training arc so they could be like, it doesn't matter that you tried hard. You're still not Yuki, even though she beats Yuki and then is randomly like, I don't want to beat you when you're not at your best. And then just gets fucking killed 3 minutes later. I did not like that. I hate it when people do that. If you're trying to murder someone, just fucking murder them. Don't be like, oh, you got to actually fight me. Like, use your maximum potential. No, just kill them. Come on, Mishura. What the
double tap? You got double tap.
Play to win. You play to win the game. Killing anyone was more or less not needed in that game.
You wanted a rich, prideful girl. That's a rich, prideful girl. She got pride. She said, I
love me some Ojo-samas. And I'm sad she's gone. And the show is worse off for it. I think everyone can use a good rival. You know what I mean? Like a Seto Kaiba or a Vegeta. And you don't just kill that person off. Okay, Pat, you said you had some hot takes on some of the questions we got. Which one specifically? Is there one you're chomping at the bit to talk about?
It wasn't even really just more a question. I guess I just want to hear what your guys' thoughts were on the final game, really. We spend like 2 episodes being told this children's story or this this tail of a bird with speckled dots on it or whatever. And then they build up this green-haired girl, Moegi, so much, and then she just gets nuked. Like the first time she actually faces someone that knows what they're doing. They build her up to be like the next psychopath or the protege of the psychopath, right? And then she just gets killed instantly. I found that incredibly unrewarding and frustrating in the moment after pretty much 2 whole episodes dedicated to like showing us her psyche and showing us a little hints of her backstory or who she is, what she's done, and maybe this plays into and I say the final game we're shown, the 9th games, game design flaws really painted this worse. But like I was just so confused why she was built up to then just get torn down like that from a thematic perspective, I guess I should say too. Like I didn't really get much out of that. Did you guys? Like what did I miss? If you did get something.
I think there's like a few ways to take it. I think it's just another one. It's just another time the show exemplifies like all that, all that build up, all that time. Like, I mean, before this, we had Shawty, like Miles just said, go through a training arc and get fucking smoked. Like
Yeah.
it's just it's another pinpoint on that. And then also, I
MBK
think
or whatever, right? Natural born killer, whatever.
Yeah.
Like she's just not him, whatever, or she's
Yeah.
just not her, whatever. I
And
guess. Yeah.
yeah, and also like I don't know if depending on whether you view the messaging to be like in a positive light of like or a negative light, I think it changes the story too, because then it's like you could take it kind of you could take all the mentor relationships in parallel, you know what I mean? And sort of they all kind of touch different points, I think. I think the first girl, the blonde hair girl, she was the mentor, you know what I mean? That got and they kind of explored that, and like this girl was the apprentice, and then like you see how those two different relationships differ from Yuki and her mentor. I think is really, and the consequences of those mentorships, I guess, ultimately they all get cooked.
Yeah. Fair enough.
So yeah, I mean, I think, and we'll probably get to this, but like, I think this all relates to like really the end point of none of them are really demons like that. Not in the way Yuki's mentor is. She's a different breed.
Agreed. I think
And the
if we're
Kiara, the psycho killer girl too, is also built that way, right?
I don't even think she's like. I think just the ending takes all the power out of her. Honestly, I think it takes away the power from anyone else. I think. Well, I don't want to get too off track, but
Yeah. Sorry, Pete. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off there.
I mean, if we're specifically talking the last game, it was a combination of both like things that I really enjoyed of it and the things that like just didn't make any sense. Worth like, was it like Kiara essentially being the Terminator from T2, and like how like why is she the Terminator and why can't anybody else be the Terminator? And then I didn't like that aspect of like her character and sort of like the last conflict. But then the shit with like Haku at the end with like not actually being dead, it being like something, it feels like there's something bigger going on in the world with sort of how it wrapped up. So like I absolutely loved it, but absolutely hated it at the same time.
Yeah, it sure does feel like something might be happening in the outside world the entire anime. Just maybe any ends would be nice.
I don't mean the outside. I mean like there's something in the game itself is like there's more that meets the eye, and it's
that's what I guess that's what I mean.
It leaves on like a good cliffhanger where like, I mean, I always bring up Saw because Saw 1 literally did the exact same thing. Like it's not even like it literally happens in Saw. It's the exact same thing. So
Saw 1 is so good.
It's great. It's like I love it. So like I want to find out more on why Haku is Jigsaw. And so like it was great because it left me on a cliffhanger where I want to watch more. But it was also like it was so convoluted in some aspects where like thinking about it now, it's like, was it actually good or did it just end really well? So that's kind of where I'm
and
at.
it was frustrating, right? Like, yeah, I felt
wasn't frustrated.
frustrated at the. Okay, fair enough.
With the ending, actually, I fucking loved the ending of it.
I loved the post credit scene. I didn't love the ending fight or the ending resolution.
Exactly. Yeah.
How I should clarify what I feel. Sorry, Haz, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think also the reason I enjoy the ending is I have a slight, not that I disagree that something bigger is going on here and it's hinted at, and that's kind of the setup too. But I think thematically, Haku being alive is like a perfect ending because I think the show, like, obviously for all the death and like all the shit Yuki does lean towards the idea that like humanity and stuff is like human connection is good in some way, right? It leads that way most of the time. I think Haku being alive though shows that, and her intentionally playing dead at the end and cutting off Yuki, and Yuki believing she's dead, and like things like them saying like the easiest person to manipulate is a manipulator earlier in the show. Like, I think it shows like it's the perfect like kind of fucked up ending where it's like the best person, like to really be the best, like you got to cut everyone off type shit. Like you really have to, like, there's no human connection at the top. I think it's like kind of it takes away from that idea. And I think that's really, I think it hit for me really hard to see that Haku was alive and like just going on to finish her last 4 games or whatever. But I don't know. That was my interpretation.
I am excited to see how Yuki handles it. Because like at the moment she's telling herself that she's doing this to like carry on her dream sort of thing. But like, she's doing it because she's fucking insane. But like, so what happens when she learns that she's been abandoned by her? Because like, yeah, and then like 2, that Haku could have stopped that girl from murdering all of those people if she wanted to, but this is part of my issue, right? Like, why didn't Haku just stop her? Why did she play dead? Like I guess like I want to know what she's working towards that's worth letting like fucking 50 people or whatever die.
Okay, here's my counterpoint.
Okay.
I don't, and it kind of goes with what I said. I don't think I need to look for any bigger point, although I am intrigued by it because she's a fucking psychopath. And I think that's just kind of what, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's what that final move is.
So I guess
I
wish, and this is like a minor thing. I don't know, maybe it's major. I don't know. Part of the issue that I have with this is this sort of goes into the cute girls do suffering things genre. And I've been known to like those sometimes, but I generally like it when there is a reason that it's a bunch of cute girls doing it. Like something like Madoka, 1 is a magical girl show, 2 has a lot to do, like thematically, with like adolescence, growing up as a younger, girl, all of that stuff. This to me seems a little like it's not complete. There's obviously some other stuff going on, but it just seems a little gratuitous to me. It sometimes, like we're watching these people to suffer, and the show isn't always saying that it's bad. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it's like that's bad. If we care about the character, it's bad, right? But like sometimes it's fine. I don't know.
You're right. No, I don't.
I like Giguk's impression of it because there's something in this show where it says like it's almost impossible to win 30 games, and that he said that this is a reflection on the idol industry in Japan, where like once you hit 30, you can't be an idol anymore, and that the fact that they're like all girls and they're all it's cutthroat. Not all the girls can make it, even if they're all good, type of thing. So I kind of like that theory that because like the show doesn't really say. Like, it's not Squid Games where it's like in your face saying capitalism is bad. Like, the show doesn't really do that. So finding a message and theory crafting, I think, is really fun with this one.
Yeah, I get it. This seems a little dramatic, and I like the theory, but it feels a little dramatic if the meaning is the idol industry.
Oh,
which,
no, for
by
sure,
the way,
but
is capitalism is bad, but
Yeah.
it's just a smaller sub portion of it.
Oh, God, sorry.
No, it's okay. The show is like you said, gratuitous at times. Like the green-haired girl, it's very weird because like there will be like the scenes where it's shot well, like we talked about in the first episode, where the first death happens. And is it like stunning? Is it jarring? Yes, but it's also not gratuitous in the gore or anything. But then the rest of the show happens, and it can get pretty intentionally gory and taking advantage of their cloth insides or whatever the preservation technique thing, right? It definitely takes advantage of that because this show would not be. This would be like NC-17 if it was all blood the way it was supposed to be depicted, right?
Not NC-17.
But also like the green.
That's for porn.
Well, no, that's also for like a heavy gore, like Terrifier, right?
I
Like
mean,
that movie.
compared to like Doro Hidoro, this would not get in. If that doesn't get an NC-17, this ain't getting an NC-17.
Okay.
Often assigned due to non-simulated sex scenes, extreme graphic or aberrant violence, and unrestricted nudity. So I guess
1.5.
I don't know if this would be violent enough to be
Not even
that
close.
description. It's possible, I suppose. But there's probably something like a Serbian film or something like that.
I know which Serbian
yes.
you're talking about.
What a fucking shout. Jesus fuck.
Or Hostel or whatever. Yeah, something like
Yeah,
that. Like, that's where
anyway.
that's where this show would be to me, I think, with all the violence in it.
Oh,
If
this
it was
is
actually shown with
nothing.
blood.
This is completely like Blood C or Blood Plus or Doro Hidoro. This is nothing.
I guess so. But to circle back though, like some of it is meant for the thematic, like, you know, the despair and like how like helpless you might feel in those scenarios. But then there's others where it's like the green-haired girl, again, Moegi, she's needlessly cruel sometimes, like with the say bang, like right in the you know, like I want
That
you
went
guys
pretty
to practice. It like it was funny, I guess. Yeah, like
I can
but it
spare
was
one
also-
bullet.
But it was also like, what are we doing? You know, like
Yeah.
why, or like that's how I felt a lot of the times when in the show, where some of it felt very gratuitous in terms of the gore and the way that they're in a bathhouse, so they're all naked and you know, like whatever. But like still,
And the one girl who feels that that's like a criticism then goes crazy and is a mass murderer. It's like, you know, she's like, don't you feel objectified? And everyone's like, I don't know, you're crazy. And then she murders everyone. It's like, but I feel like, you know, she obviously has some other issues going on, but she was spitting about that objectification thing. Like that is happening.
Which maybe is the point, but then it's still, you know, it's having its cake and eating it too, I guess is where I get hung up.
It does. It really does like to have its cake and eat it too. Like Moegi's whole thing about like wanting to be like the Nighthawk star, right? Where it's like through determination you can become like a star or whatever. Like you can like be remembered or something like that. And like, you know, she gets fucking got like everyone who they spend any time developing in this show does, which drives me insane because I just need a reoccurring cast. I have learned this. Just Yuki is not enough for me. Every time someone showed up, I was like, maybe this girl will live, and I was wrong. But you know, she also she does the murder, and it just sort of feels a little bit like glorification of their actions, and then it doesn't do a lot to like show me why they put themselves in this predicament. I just have a hard time with it.
I think I don't know. I agree, but I would say, and this goes into like the theory crafting thing where it was like, I think the show is at least I just think if we had more of this show, you know, it'd be cool. But I think that the show to me at least, sets up for like and is what's it called, presented in a way that it's very much the experience of, it's very much a critique of the viewer, I think, in certain ways, or like what, the people watching from home, maybe not necessarily us per se, but like, you know what I mean? The Yuki mentions early too, like the reason she even got into it was because she was like good at games, that's all how it started. She was like, I'm pretty good at these. And it was like, I don't even remember what the fucking game was that she played. Does anyone, it was like an escape room, something on a sticker board. You remember what I'm talking about?
Board. No, I don't
know.
remember.
It was like a very short scene in episode 1, and she was outside of her apartment playing like a sticker board, and then she was just like, I'm good at games. So I think, to me, the moments that the show is like quote unquote glorifying is just to put you in that space, because I think most times it rips it, like it doesn't stay on that. You know what I mean? I don't think that's really where it ends. So yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah, I see it both ways. I think it at the very least gives it an earnest try to be good about the stuff, and I think it just sort of doesn't succeed all the time. That's sort of the issue I guess I have. But no, I think that's fair.
Alrighty.
Okay.
We clearly we have plenty more to talk about with this show too, which is
wait a minute. 1 second. We can do exactly one answer questions to this. We do need to do the Eagle question of the week. We're going to fit it in. You have 1 word to answer this question.
1 word.
1 word, okay? Because this is a yes or no question, and it's: do you think Yuki is a psychopath? I don't even remember if it was Eagle.
Should we all say it on 3?
1, 2, 3. Yes.
Yes.
CTV.
Okay. Okay, good. I'm glad we did it.
Yes. Sorry, I was doing the Charles Barkley bit. That was bad. Okay. 2 words. Must see TV. Yeah. No, there you go. But Nas Reed too. There you go. All right. There we go. There's your answer, Eagle, to the Eagle question of the week. Yay! Clap, applause, graphics. Woo! Yay!
I just fake elbowed Nas Reed way too hard and shook my desk.
Oh man, yeah. You should be suspended for Game 5. But
yeah, I should. You hear that, Eagle?
He should not be suspended, and that's coming from a Tim.
No, he shouldn't.
No. I'm just saying that to troll the person we were just talking about.
But the best part is this will come out the day after Game 7.
I think the series will be finished by the time the episode comes out.
So that's even better.
And honestly,
the day
Pete,
after Game 7.
Pete, how excited are you to be in the Western Conference Finals again?
Spurs in 6. Let's be real. As much as I would love to be in the Western Conference Final again, Wemby is very good and Ant has no need.
Miles was talking about the hockey Western Conference Finals.
We're up 1-0 at the time of recording right now. So
are we really?
Yes.
Hell yeah, let's go. Let's go,
so
baby.
we will see. I think the Wild actually have a chance at making it.
I do too.
I actually think if the Wild beat the Avalanche, they're just winning the Stanley Cup.
Carolina though, but yeah, they're in a good shape. They're very, very good. That series has been awesome to watch so far. Just like talking about this show was. So again, we clearly didn't have enough time to talk about everything. So please join the Discord to chat with us, because I think we all had strong opinions about certain things in the show that we didn't get to.
Let your final thoughts go a little bit longer than normal this time.
Yeah, we can do that. Why not? Let's do it. So, Pete, why don't you lead the way and show us how long our final thoughts should be?
Oh my God. There's so many things I want to talk about, like with the positives of this that we didn't get to. So I mentioned it. I think the art direction in this show is like S-tier elite and incredible. Like there was rumors that the reason why they went this style was because of budget constraints. I don't know if that's true or not, but if it was, I think what the resources that they had available and what they did with it was phenomenal. The second thing, along with the direction and everything like that, the sound design in this show is god tier. Oh, especially the dub. The dub is fantastic. Like unbelievable. That my favorite like scene in the whole thing was when they were when they had to unlock the key, and then they had like the giant chain thing that's gonna like kill one of the girls, and it ends up killing one of the girls. But like we don't see the death, we just hear it. And I think it was so much better that we didn't see it, and how we heard it was just like phenomenal. So like in terms of like some of the horror aspects of the show, knocked it out of the park. Absolutely love it. I think Yuki is a really interesting character, a very dynamic character. I think that there's a lot of growth to see in her character if we got more content. But just sort of like surface level, I think it's like a really good build of Yuki. And I hope if we get more content, we can see her grow into be like a great, fantastic character. I just think that we need more content with Yuki to get to that level. So really like what they build. The stuff with Haku, even though I know it's literally Saw, I'm still super intrigued by it. Can't wait to see where it goes. The movie, I hope we get a showing. This is also seems like a movie that we're not getting it. Like I'm watching this on 9 anime type of vibes. Like that's kind of what I'm feeling with it. But I hope I'm proven wrong. I hope we get a showing. I hope maybe this is maybe a Crunchyroll movie night type of thing. Hopefully we get something along those lines.
Netflix might have the rights, right? Given they aired the show.
Did they air it?
Yeah.
It's on Crunchyroll now.
Oh,
too.
say I watched it on Crunchyroll, so
Oh no, I watched it all on Netflix. Yeah, that's
maybe. I mean,
okay.
We got the Chainsaw Man movie like a couple months after, so who knows? Maybe it'll be on Crunchyroll streaming, maybe on Netflix streaming. Who knows? I just hope that we can legally consume it is what I'm getting at. But I just love like these artsy style shows that take risk. Like it's such a unique take with especially the color palette, man. I know I mentioned a bunch, but using gray as your main color is so interesting to me. Like I love that. It wasn't black, it wasn't white, it was gray on purpose. I think has mentioned it with like the buildings, like setting the atmosphere when you're using that style just adds despair, just adds to that brutalism because of the color palette. So I just thought like how they shaped the world was done in a good way. I just think the biggest thing that we're missing of the show is context. We need more context to the world. We need more context to Yuki, more context to these games, what's happening. So if we can get that answered, I really do think that the show could be something special. But right now it's missing something. So I'm grading this more on like what I hope to see coming down the road and like the potential for it. So I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed watching it. The rewatch was really easy. The dub was great. The art was great. The sound was great. Just questions with like episode structure and basic player logic is my 2 detriments. So 8 out of 10 for me.
8 out of 10. Alrighty. Miles, what about you?
Yeah, I agree with Pete mostly. I think that like the art is nice to look at. I do have a bit of an issues with some of the more avant-garde decisions this went. I think when you have something as complex as this, doing things like having asynchronous times and having Yuki watching herself from the future in the past, like watching a TV show, or like the early credit runs and stuff. Like I just think it's bad. I think it added to the confusion. I think there are times you want to do that, and there are times you don't want to do that. And this show is one of the times you don't want to do that. We watched something else recently with an early credit run, and I loved it. Cosmic Princess Kaguya. I think that was great. Like how it did that, right? Because that whole thought thing, it like fit with the themes. Yep. It fit with what they were trying to do. And in this, I just didn't really feel like it did. Maybe it's because I don't really want Yuki to realize that she's doing this because she has a bloodlust, but whatever. I thought if the avant-garde stuff was for budget constraint reasons, then I guess I can give it a pass because I thought that they sort of slapped that on for no reason, that it didn't really fit a function, but it looks nice. So if you're just trying to save some money and also make it look nice, good job. That does address that issue that I had. I think, episode 1, as Pete mentioned, with like that death with like the chain game and everything, like I thought that was great. And that was the stuff that I wish we had gotten more of, more suspense, more horror, and like showing not even like showing, but like being able to piece things off, like not even show, don't tell, like only kind of show, don't show. Where you're set to like put things together about what's, letting your imagination sort of run wild about whatever's happening is always very good for horror, and at the end, I feel like this sort of devolved a bit into like a battle shonen type of thing where we had like 2 battle royale games in a row. and they were all just going to war with each other. And like, I don't mind that every once in a while, but it hasn't mentioned this wasn't it, but I would have preferred more of that mystery problem solving sort of stuff throughout. I also wish we had more consistent Yuki characterization because of how this is structured. We see Yuki on her game exactly once this entire thing, so the first game she's on her game. The next game it's earlier, so she's like on her game, but she's not quite as good. She makes more mistakes and stuff. She's coming to, and it's after her 9th game where she's also not on her game for part of it. And then on her 30th game, either the company drugged her or something. That was a little unclear. We didn't get to talk about that, unfortunately.
And the tracker, don't worry about it.
Yeah, well, I thought they were setting this thing up where like the Wall of 30 was something that was manufactured by, whatever shadow organization runs these death games, when they switched her sleeping pills and stuff. But that was like the tracker thing or whatever. So I guess it's just sort of like a, mental hurdle that you got to get through or whatever. I guess I would like to see more of this, but I think I might just end up reading the books after doing some research on this. Like the stuff that they cut, I thought was really interesting. A lot more spite from like the girl who was voted out. She had like a whole monologue about like not having to do this because I guess there was like audience pressure to vote her out or something like that they just didn't really get to. Stuff like that I think would be interesting, and just more insight about what's going on. The light novel readers like glaze the fuck out of Candlewood, which is the last game. And all of us sort of agreed that was a bit of an incomprehensible mess as far as like game structure goes, right? Like they glaze it from like this is a very like intriguing and interesting game that gets put on or whatever. We had differing opinions on the arc, but I think all of us agreed that it wasn't a great game that they were playing, so I guess I would like to see that. This has like pieces that I enjoyed, but it's just sort of like asking me if I enjoyed like an unfinished puzzle. It's like, oh, do you think this is pretty? And I'm like, I don't know. I guess it could be, but it's not right now. I don't know. I'm gonna give this a. You know what? I'm gonna give this a 5.
That's what I thought you were gonna give it.
Yeah, I was thinking 6. Like, this is just, how I always talk myself into higher scores. I did the reverse on this one. I was like, actually, fuck this show.
I got you to give Medalist Season 2 a 7, so I'll take that.
Oh, sure. There
you go. Taz, now it's your turn to try and top that one. Let's see it.
Yeah, no, I think, I love this show. This show was great. I loved I'm very biased. I know this. I'm very biased to media that can deliver like kind of, I don't know, not to sound like sappy or something, like these beautiful messages about humans and still sort of present the reality that like something like a complete arc to your revenge maybe not existing, and stuff like that. Like there can be beautiful experiences within short-lived, times and stuff like that, and like during suffering, even if the experiences themselves to like in context, like you said, like some of them are crazy, right? Like definitely. So most of them are, but I really enjoyed it. I think sort of what I said at the beginning though, where it's not really a death game. It feels like this adaptation strayed away from it being a death game and really focused on sort of the psychological, or tried to at least focus more on the psychological like character stuff later on, and it just kind of hooked with the death game. So as much as I loved everything, I do kind of wish some of the later games got a little more exploration as well. But I think through and through, what an amazing experience from, the art style and the world. And I loved the setting. I loved how it looked. So yeah, and it kind of went against my expectations and in a good way. So, and I thought the ending was amazing, an amazing way to end it. So I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10. Alrighty. I just want to highlight a couple things that I found frustrating in this. First off, every episode title is themed around the fact that it's missing the word love. And I guess that is supposed to be a big motif in this show. Yet the four of us did not mention that a single time in our review, which maybe that's a bit knock on us. I think it's more a testament to the fact that I didn't feel at all that love was the central theme or motif of this show. I didn't find it that way at all. Like there's obviously the mentor mentee relationships that happen, but those didn't feel like love to me. They felt a little more actual, just teacher or pity almost in a couple of them, right? So I think that speaks to the show a little bit. And maybe, again, who knows? Maybe we'll get more. But that speaks to, or that leads to my next frustration with the show, where what did we learn after the second game or episode 4-ish? What did we learn in the show in the remaining episodes that helped make sense or direct us towards solving the puzzle that we've all been like searching for or talking about? Like that the show keeps hinting at things and keeps showing us things, but it really, I felt very frustrated by the end of the show that we were just not getting answers. We were not getting further development towards understanding the games, understanding the world that they're in, understanding more of the characters specifically themselves and their backgrounds or their interests. I did not care for the main two characters that they focused on in that final arc with Kiara and her little brat Moegi. I didn't find their dynamic very interesting at all either. So I think that the show, for me, it was frustrating almost to watch it by the end, because I really did like the setup and the premise of the first episode. The second game was at least interesting, maybe because it hadn't lost that luster of something I hadn't seen before or really fully consumed yet. But all of that negativity to also say that the art direction, as mentioned by others, was fantastic. I think it's really, really cool looking. I like the premise, and I could see it landing the ship. But with what we have so far, Miles, your analogy of a puzzle that's like half finished, but is very fair and a good way to describe how I'm feeling, because I did not feel like we got even halfway done with the puzzle yet, which is frustrating to me as an anime only watcher. So for me, I have this at a 6 out of 10. I think it's fine. I don't think it's bad. I just I'm left annoyed by it more than thinking lesser of it, I guess, if that makes sense. So yeah, between the four of us, good job, boys. We ended up with an average score of a 7.00, which is 0.15 points below the average mouse score for Shiboyugi, playing death games to put food on the table. Yeah, I guess that wraps up our discussion on this show that will eventually have a sequel movie. Has it aired yet? No, surely not,
July.
right? It's that soon, though.
Yep.
Wow, interesting.
Well,
It
July
came
in
out back,
Japan. We'll see when we get
of course, but like it aired in Japan in winter 2026 too, right? So
Yep.
like recently. That's pretty soon for a movie, I feel like. But yeah, that wraps up our discussion on Shiboyugi. Miles, you have the results from our most recent voting session to decide what show we're watching next. What won?
Yes, we will be watching, and this is very close between all three. We will be watching Takopi's Original Sin. I thought it was going to be Speed Racer, especially when I saw Haz vote for the first time in 4 years, and he just wrote Speed Racer 3 times, and I was like, oh, I guess I have to do it. But no, it is Takopi taking a close one. My Happy Marriage and Speed Racer will be earning their legacy points. My Happy Marriage with its 4th, Speed Racer with its 1st.
Woo!
I'm sick.
There we go. But alrighty, yes, we will be watching Takopi's Original Sin, however you say it. I don't know. I speak English primarily. Pete, what are you nominating for 2 weeks from now for us to vote on?
I'll just re-up Speed Racer one more time, see what happens.
Oh,
it did very well. It did
Yes.
very well.
Well, it better win this time, because I got some other shows I want to nominate too.
Alrighty. Miles, what about you?
Okay, I will do my promise about what I'm doing, or, and I will be nominating. Yep, Fate Strange Fake.
Woo!
See a little bit of American magic in there. One of my favorite anime scenes of all time, where someone does some David Blaine shit, says you're going to do American magic, and then a whole bunch of fucking M16s show up out of the woods and just put a ton of bullets in some dude. It's just,
It's so silly.
It's very silly.
Alrighty. God, I almost forgot your name, even though it's just been too long, buddy. You need to come back. What are you
They hate me.
nominating?
They hate me here. Well, much like Yuki, I'm carrying on a legacy. Actually, here, this isn't just my win I'm going for. I'm gonna be nominating. I'm pretty sure this has a legacy points too. I'm gonna be nominating Interspecies Reviewer.
Oh no! Why did we invite Has?
See, this is what happens when.
Don't you want Speed Racer to win? You're splitting the votes.
I would hope. Well, listen. Here's what
You're
I think,
banned
right?
for 2.5 years, bro.
Yes.
Can't you do like Crawling Chaos or something?
Unfortunately, like I said, I'm carrying on a will here, and y'all can hate me.
You don't have to write a will
I'll,
because I'm gonna kill you.
We laced his weed, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen,
Oh, that's weird. Has was cutting out for the last like 2 minutes. I did his video feed just cut out too. Oh my god, that's crazy. Listen to him. Look, that's so crazy.
That's
We don't have to
crazy.
include his
Yeah.
nomination,
Okay, I'll just pick a random show for Has to nominate. I don't know.
Is he
something.
actually frozen, or is that?
No, I think. He's frozen right now.
That's so funny.
That's
that
hilarious
just
that he's frozen.
That's
on our
insane.
screen. Hurry, wrap
was like,
up
is that
before
his
he
head?
disconnects.
Yeah.
I'm dead ass. He
Oh my
disconnected.
god, there it
You
goes. It's
mother-
okay. We're so pretty. I'm sorry. I didn't know if Miles was going to continue his point, but yes, I'll nominate My Happy Marriage again. It does pretty damn well. We'll keep it rolling. That's so funny that Has disconnected just now.
He
Thank you for
joined
listening
the
to
other
Watch Club.
channel. He didn't even. Oh, I have
my
to drag
God.
him. Oh, I thought you just
Oh, you have to
joined
drag
general. Welcome back, Has.
For our visual viewers, they're going to very much enjoy the chaos that just happened of us getting morphed around a screen, I think.
He's on his phone. Okay,
Yeah.
let's wrap up.
Yeah, let's wrap up. I just nominated My Happy Marriage Has just for your update, even though you
Has
can
is
watch
like
the video
I
and listen,
voted.
but yes. Yeah. It's okay. It's okay.
I took the power muffle.
All good. Okay.
No, you're good. Pete, please take it away.
If you have made this far and you want to support us, the best way to do so, like, comment, subscribe, leave a review on whatever platform you're watching or listening to us on. Next week is the mid-season check-in. I made a bunch of predictions in my first impressions video. I'm gonna see if those predictions came true. So come check out the halfway point essentially of the season, even though we'll probably be a little bit more than halfway. Otherwise, if you're here for Watch Club, we will see you in 2 weeks for Taco P's Original Sin. Thanks, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Bye-bye.